Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Wednesday, 19th November 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago issues the most serious warning yet about the likelihood of the country's pro-stance on U.S. policy shutting down the gas that powers the country. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Former Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has issued the country's most explosive economic warning in years, declaring that the U.S.-Venezuela military standoff has now crossed directly into Trinidad and Tobago's bottom line and could shut down the very gas that powers the economy. Rowley says the government has placed a bullseye on the nation's economic heartbeat. This CBX Network News item has more. Former
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has issued the country's most explosive economic warning in years, declaring that the U.S.-Venezuela military standoff has now crossed directly into Trinidad and Tobago's bottom line and could shut down the very gas that powers the economy. In a media briefing earlier today, Rowley delivered a blistering takedown of the government's foreign policy strategy, accusing the Kamla Persad-Bisesa-led administration of recklessly dragging Trinidad and Tobago into a war posture that could cripple the country's economy.
We are dependent on gas from platforms 60 miles out there. We don't have a navy that could protect us. We don't have a Coast Guard that could even stand out there to be present to hail anybody who's coming at us. That's a vulnerability of the worst kind. And if that becomes part of the proceedings, not by missiles being fired at us, not by bombs being fired at us, but just by a credible threat to those platforms, Trinidad and Tobago is now in a current against which we cannot swim. Because if a threat like that comes to us, a credible threat, that those platforms are in fact legitimate targets, those international companies will do one thing. They'll remove their staff from the platform. And once the staff comes off the platform, most of those platforms are manned. Once they come off the platform, it shuts down the gas supply to Trinidad and Tobago.
Rowley says the government has placed a bull's eye on the nation's economic heartbeat.
It would have shut down tea and tech. And this bulb will not light. Where did you see Trinidad and Tobago's interests? Can you genuinely say that Trinidad and Tobago has made provision to protect itself from an attacked Venezuela? If Venezuela finds itself under attack from the United States, assisted by Trinidad and Tobago, Does that not make Trinidad and Tobago a legitimate target? Or have you come to the conclusion that, man, they ain't going to do nothing? Is that so? You have jumped in this high-stakes geopolitical issue, and you've taken a position as a combatant.
That was former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley.
Ansa McCall has revealed that it is courting over $3 billion in acquisitions, even as it prepares to close the sale of its historic retail arm, Standards Distributors, by year-end. Sunil Lala of TTT News reports.
Group CEO of Ansa McCall, Anthony Sabga III, says its acquisition pipeline is worth over $3 billion. Speaking at the company's recent third quarter financial report, he stated that the sale of Standard Distributors is part of a broader portfolio.
There are no acquisitions that are imminent enough for us to announce, but as I've said and I ongoingly say, our group is courting well over $3 billion in acquisition. Now, we're not going to close all $3 billion, but our acquisitive pipeline is quite substantial.
Moving forward, he said investors can expect bold moves as Ansa McCall positions itself for long-term growth.
If it's one thing that our investors could count on is that we will continue to make very wise and deeply thought out and prudent investments that would not only see us meet and exceed ×2, but see us set the group up for a generation and another generation of growth.
Ansa McCall also confirmed that its deal to sell Standard Distributors is in its final stages and will close before year-end.
Standards is under a sales contract agreement and subject to certain particular items which we believe are rudimentary, customary and normal in a divestment. Standards will close before the end of the year. Well, the deal with respect to Standards will close before the end of the year.
The buyer, Term Finance, is linked to Point West Capital and FCB, but Mr. Sabga III dismissed any suggestion of insider advantage.
And they are, close members of our family. It's two completely different businesses, independent of each other. Standards, as with any practice of divestment, we would have gone through a very detailed, very rigorous market sounding.
For its executive chairman, Norman Sabga, he said the sale is deeply personal, but he pointed out that it was time to move on.
We will use the proceeds of that business to continue to grow our existing business, and we will not look back.
And as Ansa McCall reshapes its portfolio, Carib Brewery is preparing for a new era, guided by its first female managing director, Lisa Murley.
So Ms. Morales has been with the organization for quite a few years, and the board has a huge level of confidence in her capability to lead that business to where it needs to go. We see a lot of ongoing promise. There's a tremendous amount of innovation possible, and also some of the key efficiencies that we've invested behind starting to be realized.
Mr. Sabga said the brewery is facing challenges with the steep excise tax hike, which has already led to price adjustments.
The excise increase is certainly a substantial one. It is one larger than at least any of us have seen in the recent future, and it is to be seen how well our market can absorb that and absorb it in a manner that generates both the revenues for the country in the manner in which they intend to, and also in a way that sustains the entire ecosystem that guarantees and delivers those revenues to the government.
Lisa Murley was appointed on November 1st as the first female managing director of Carib Brewery Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Ansa McCall Group of Companies.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
It's not every day a global sports icon opens a restaurant, but on Saturday evening last, Brian Lara revealed 277, a space at the Millennium Lakes Golf and Country Club designed to deliver an elevated dining experience shaped by his own personal journey. The launch brought together sports personalities, business leaders, and personal friends. TTT News has this report.
The spotlight turns to a new chapter for cricketing icon Brian Lara, the grand opening of his restaurant, 277. The launch brought together sport personalities, business leaders, and personal friends, all gathered to experience his latest venture. From the decor to the menu, every detail reflects the excellence and precision associated with Lara's career.
I want people to come here. I want them to feel like they're at home. I want them to feel that the food is great, the ambience is great, and I want them to leave feeling that, wow, I was entertained. And I got something that I didn't expect.
While the name nods to his iconic 277-run stand, a landmark innings that redefined his career, the concept behind the restaurant runs much deeper.
It was the time that I started to feel like I belonged. I had the confidence. I finally had that identity in cricket. You know, people sort of recognized me, and it's what I want to achieve at the restaurant. It's my first restaurant, so I want to achieve the fact that, listen, when you come here, you feel like you belong.
Inside the kitchen, the culinary team is steering the menu toward elevated flavors with modern techniques and inevitable Caribbean influence. The restaurant promises a balance of elegance, creativity, and premium quality, an approach that chefs say mirrors Lara's relentless pursuit of greatness.
I would like to see the 277 fitting in as kind of a beacon, kind of a light of warmth, of hospitality, of love, of tenderness, of taking care of people and their bellies. You know, we want to invite everybody through our doors, whether it's industry, whether it's athletes, whether it's just any, regular Joe Schmo coming off the street. Like we want to sit them down, we want to take care of them with food, and we would also like to be able to mentor.
They also seek to approach their kitchen operations in a manner that distinguishes them in the industry.
Dealing with farm to table, with sustainability. We're dealing with reaching out to the purveyors, the farmers, the local suppliers, trying to utilize what we have in Trinidad and Tobago from the region, from the waters.
For guests at the launch, the experience goes beyond the food. Many describe 277 as a fresh energy in the local hospitality scene, blending genuine warmth and the legacy behind the name.
And basically what we're here for is not to really sell food or drinks, but to sell an experience. We want the local clientele, likewise the foreign clientele, to come by and see what we've put together.
I think my first impression when I walked through the doors was par excellence. I mean, everything seems so pristine, sophisticated.
The food is impeccable. The choice of menu is different. Something different from what I've experienced here in Trinidad.
Mr. Lara is a mentor to me. He is a world-class leader, of course, and I learned a lot from him in terms of mentoring my staff and motivating my staff in the right direction.
And so, trading runs for reservations, Brian Lara begins a new innings, one that pays tribute to his legacy, while offering something fresh to the nation he continues to inspire. Carrie Roberts, TTT News.
With St. Lucia's general elections set for December 1st, 2025, the St. Lucia Christian Council is calling on the nation to treat the upcoming vote as a sacred democratic responsibility. Manasseh Stanislaus of the DBS News World reports.
Speaking on behalf of the Christian Council, Archbishop Malzier described general elections as one of the noblest expressions of human freedom, reminding St. Lucians that voting is more than just a political act. It is a duty shaped by struggle, sacrifice, and the universal quest for justice. He emphasized that the right to vote must never be taken for granted. Instead, he said, every election should serve as a reaffirmation of the people's power and their commitment to good governance. The Archbishop urged citizens to approach the polls with discernment, guided not by emotion or loyalty, but by what truly serves the common good.
General election stands as one of the noblest expressions of human freedom and civic responsibility. They embody the voice of a people choosing the direction of the nation and affirming their commitment to democracy, justice, and good governance. As St. Lucia prepares for its general elections on December 1st, 2025, we are reminded that this process is not merely a political exercise, but a sacred duty that reflects our collective values, our respect for the rule of law, and our hope for a brighter future.
Archbishop Malze warned against intimidation, bribery, and manipulation, noting that democracy can only thrive where voters are free to make choices based on conscience. He recalled on institutions, including the government, political parties, civil society, and the media and church, to safeguard the integrity of the electoral process. Addressing candidates directly, the Archbishop stressed that leadership is a vocation of service, not self-interest. He urged those seeking office to present realistic and transparent policies and to resist any temptation to buy loyalty or influence votes. Trust, he said, must be earned, not purchased. For the DBS News World, Manasseh Stanislas reporting.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.